Back inside Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio. Heard exclusively on TuneIn, watching us on Big 12 Studios. He's Ari, I'm James. Taman on the controls. Anthony back at the Big 12 Studios headquarters. We're really excited about this new series that we're diving into, and it is to get you more familiar with newcomers in the Big 12. We did our transfer portal series. We'll have a draft preview series coming up. But in the meantime, we go each and every day position group by position and highlight our top 5 most impactful transfers in the Big 12 and where those guys will be playing this fall. Today we start with the offensive line, and you noted during the break this was a really fun and challenging list to put together because there are so many offensive linemen that are joining this conference. To highlight our top 5 was not easy.
Yeah, and instead of sort of a collective 5, you and I kind of came up with our own top 5, and I think it'll be interesting to see. I think there are some teams where we may have 2 different guys on the same team and may have picked them for different reasons.
Okay.
But yeah, this is going to be a really fun exercise to go through some of the newcomers, and not just the newcomers that maybe are highly heralded or whatnot, because especially along the offensive line, like there are some 4 and 5 stars coming in, but how many of them do we think will make an impact in next season? I think that's the key here. And remember, Big 12 today is going to be heavy football in the offseason. Every day we're talking football, and we're going to have different series throughout, including this one. But remember, we're presented by Modelo. So grab a Modelo, because cheers to you full-time fans who know no off-season when it comes to football.
Off-season optimism is mandatory. All right, take me through your list. We've got 5 guys that we've each highlighted. Who are you most excited about joining offensive lines in the Big 12?
Well, I'm going to start with number 5, junior, either JR or junior Sia for BYU. He comes over from Utah State, and I'm extremely excited about this addition. BYU loses 3 offensive linemen from 2025, and so how they bring in these trio of incoming transfers, including Sia, I think most will point out Pakai Finau from Washington, but Sia started 10 games at right tackle for Utah State, which is more than Finau played for Washington last year. You'll see on my list there are a lot of names up there that are guys that have produced at different levels, and so I'm starting with Sia from Utah State. Started all 10 games for Utah State last year at right tackle.
Love it. All right, who's number 4 on your list?
Number 4 for me is Kelvin Obot, who is one of those prospects, a 4-5-star out of Fruitland, Idaho. He is one of the top offensive tackle prospects in this recruiting cycle. And he is a true elite tackle prospect, true freshman. And I think when you look at him or like a Felix Ojo, I'm not sure Ojo plays next year. I think Obot will play for a Utah offensive line that's going to need in replacing Fano and who's the other lineman right now that's escaping me, who's going to be drafted for Utah. So they've got a lot of production to replace. I think they've done a really good job. Utah has historically of developing offensive linemen. I think Obot's a guy that's going to start right away. Number 3, I put Jaheim Buchanan. Here's another one for TCU. You could have gone him or McKinley, the transfer from Oklahoma State. But I liked Buchanan simply because dude started all 12 games for Florida Atlantic last year and had been all conference for 2 straight years at Florida International. He's basically been all conference for Florida International 2 straight years and has played every snap for them along the offensive line. So guy has produced. He's played a ton. He was a freshman all-conference USA guy his freshman year at 24, and then was all-conference USA second team in 2025. So Jaheim Buchanan's a guy that I'm very excited about, who shows up in my list, number 3. Number 2 is Jordan Church, a guy we've spent a lot of time talking about. And a lot of these guys are interior linemen, including Jordan Church. Played 12 games, started 6 for Louisville. He kind of started off the year last year as a rotational guy, and then became and had that starter-level workload for Louisville. Played meaningful snaps at guard in competitive ACC games, so that's the reason why he was so high on my list. And number 1, I think, is the most underrated addition in the portal, Shadre Hurst from Tulane. And look, when he entered the portal, I thought he was going to go with John Summerall to Florida.
Yeah.
So the fact that he ends up going to Houston says a lot. He is the perfect addition for this Houston offensive line. Started 36 career starts between 22 and 25, and a 90.5 Pro Football Focus grade in those 36 career starts. So he is one of the highest graded interior offensive linemen in the entire country, who now stands for Houston with 36 career starts. So this is one of those, like, you know what you're going to get kind of things from him. Like, you know what you're going to get from Shadre Hurst. That's why he's number one on my list. From Tulane to Houston, huge addition for the former Tulane head coach, Willie Fritz.
Massive addition. So we have a couple of parallels on our list.
I like it.
But not as many as you might think. We have 2 parallels as we look at the top 5 offensive line transfers in the Big 12. All right, for me, at number 5, I've got Javen Richardson, who's the transfer from Missouri, transferring to Colorado. And he only spent 2 years at Mizzou. He redshirted in 24, and then last year he was kind of their 6th man on the offensive line. But he played in over 200 snaps. He played at both the right tackle and left tackle positions. And prior to Missouri in high school, he was rated as the number 2 and number 4 offensive tackle in the nation by ESPN.com and 24/7 Sports. He is a freak athlete. He's just a little raw. He spent a year at Hutchinson Community College. He's 6'6", 313 pounds, and should be a guy that they plug in right away to try and replace the workload from Jordan Seaton. At number 4, I've got a guy that played a ton of snaps at Toledo last year, another transfer at Houston, Anthony Boswell, who should be their starting center. He's a redshirt sophomore. He started all 13 games for Toledo last year, first-team All-MAC. Did not allow a single sack last year at Toledo. So I've got Boswell number 4. And then I've got Hurst number 3. And regrettably, I should have had him higher after really deep diving. He was 2-time first-team All-AAC, or the American as they call it now. He was an All-American by Sporting News. Florida wanted him. Summerall wanted him to go with him. You noted that. He has the resume. He's 6'2", 293 pounds. Usually they like him a little bit bigger than that in the SEC, but I think for what Willie Fritz is doing at Houston, he is a perfect fit. And they are the team that I've highlighted as a major uptick.
Well, and if to your point, Florida didn't take him because of size, great. Worked out well for Houston because
Exactly.
I don't care what his size is. Like, the production is there. He's been one of the highest graded interior offensive linemen according to Pro Football Focus every year, and over 36 starts. Mm-hmm. And that's like, I like your list a lot, and I want you to finish it out, obviously. But I prioritized production. If you got on the field and played a lot, regardless of what level it was at, that was a huge reason why he was number 1 on my list.
Mm-hmm. And he's a baller. He's big time. Noah McKinney is next on my list at number 2, the offensive lineman from TCU. He transfers to TCU from Oklahoma State. 6'4", 330 pounds, and I love his versatility. He can play tackle. He can play guard. He started his career at UNLV, and then he goes to Oklahoma State, and now he's at TCU. He was a 3-star in high school from Frisco, Texas. So somewhat overlooked in the recruiting process, hence the career path starting at UNLV. But in the 7 games that he started for Oklahoma State this past year before he entered the portal via the coaching change, he was one of the highest graded offensive linemen in the entire country. He had been fantastic regardless of who was at quarterback, whether it was Haas Haney or Zane Flores or Sam Jackson, a converted wide receiver. And then at number 1, I go with Jordan Church because he checks all the boxes in terms of where he was rated out of high school, his NFL size and footwork at 6'4", 310 pounds, and then just his on-field production. He played 88 snaps for Louisville in a huge game for them at Pitt, in which he was just manhandling Pitt defensive linemen, which is kind of what they're known for. Their rush, run, stop, first defense at Pitt. He was really good. He's going to be a guy that starts and is maybe the best offensive lineman in the Big 12 for Texas Tech. So I love the versatility that we have on our list, but I would say Church and Hurst are the 2 parallels that we have that really stand out.
Yeah, and I mean, did you take into account tackle versus interior lineman when comprising your list?
No, I just took the top 5 best offensive linemen.
It feels like the biggest impact guys, for the most part, at least on paper, are interior guys. But, I mean, not to mention, I think Colorado needed to make a splash in replacing Jordan Seaton. and they seem to have found a guy that has a ton of potential in Richardson, to your point. And then I also, I expected that you'd put McKinney on your list, which is why I wanted to highlight Buchanan. But it just goes to show you, like, TCU has really rebuilt their offensive line.
Yes.
And with a combination of a rebuilt offensive line and a rebuilt running game to a degree in terms of their play caller, like, that is a renewed effort to try to get a ground game going for a TCU program that just hasn't had it.
And there were a couple of, like, just miss guys. Baylor has an offensive lineman, Colrett, who transfers from Toledo, where he started 11 games and had started 13 in 2024, so 24 over the last 2 years. He's a tackle at 6'7", 305 pounds that moves really well. So as you put this together, which teams do you think upgraded? You highlighted TCU. Which teams upgraded their offensive lines?
Well, and some maybe didn't need as much to upgrade. I think that's important too, because this isn't the top 5 linemen in the Big 12. This is the top 5 O-linemen newcomers.
Right.
And so that's a huge distinction. And maybe at some point we'll have to power rank the top, or, go through a series of ranking each of the top 5 at each position. And I'm sure we will. But, like, Houston, I think, did a really good job because they've added 2 impactful players to sort of solidify that line and really further solidify the run game. BYU, I don't know, that they lose 3 guys. So, like, where most are back for BYU, they needed to replace 3 important players. Utah, 2 impactful players along their offensive line. So I think a lot of these teams, we look, Texas Tech probably wasn't as good along their offensive line this past year as we thought they would be, but a lot of those guys are back. So they didn't need to add a ton. They had Church to go along with Sampson, some of these other guys that are going to be back from last year that, are expected to take a big jump. So I think TCU added really well in the portal at the offensive line position. I think Houston has done a really good job along the offensive line adding in the portal.
Yeah, Houston is the team that stands out for me. I mean, they add 2 super productive all-league guys from group of 5 teams that should be plug-and-play starters right away for a dual-threat quarterback in Connor Wegman, the running game with Dean Connors and Mekhi Hughes now, kind of a 2-headed monster. And then I thought Baylor did a nice job. They added 6 guys, and Colorado's hard to evaluate because they lose Jordan Seaton. But with that said, they brought in 8 offensive linemen. Bo Hewley from Georgia was a 5-star kid out of high school. Taj White was somebody that I almost had on my list, transfer from Rutgers, who was very productive for them. Leon Bell is a transfer from Cal, where he was a regular starter. So I think Prime has done a nice job of upgrading where they needed to upgrade on the offensive line.
Well, and again, like, I put more stock into guys regardless of where they came from or how they were recruited out of high school. I put a lot of stock into guys that played. Mm-hmm. I'm going to continue to do so as we move along and rank these put together these lists. Like, there's 2 different kinds of transfer portal players. There's small school guy that produced. Yep. There's big school guy that maybe was highly recruited but hasn't produced at that level yet. I put a lot more stock in small school guy that's produced. Now, those aren't mutually exclusive. Louisville's got, Jordan Church is a Louisville guy, right? Like, so not all of them are small school guys. Some of these are going to be Power 4 to Power 4 that have produced. And that's, for me, that's like the sweet spot.
Yep, that's it. All right, Marshall Newhouse, former offensive lineman at TCU, was there from 06 to 09, played in the NFL, won a Super Bowl. He joins us around the corner to break down this position group here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo.